गए थे और मोहल्ला को याद करने वाले कम नहीं हो रहे थे, लेकिन फिर आपने कभी उस दिशा में कदम नहीं बढ़ाया।
देखिए क्या है कि एक बड़ा अच्छा गाना है, छोड़ आए हम वो गलियां। तो अच्छा, जब आपकी गर्लफ्रेंड होती है और फिर आपकी जिंदगी से चली जाती है, तो थोड़े दिनों तक उसकी याद बनी रहती है, टीसता रहता है कभी कभी कि यार ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए था, कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए था, और फिर धीरे धीरे भूल जाते हो आप। और मैं सच बताऊं आपको, 10 साल के बाद उसका चेहरा भी याद नहीं रहता। अभी तो चूंकि बहुत सारे मतलब आ गए हैं, तो बार बार तस्वीरें आ जाती है सामने। मुझे स्कूल में हुआ था प्यार, और 10 साल के बाद मैं उसके चेहरे को याद करने की कोशिश करता, मुझे याद ही नहीं कैसी दिखती थी। तो मैं अब उस दौर को भूल चुका, मुझे इच्छा नहीं होती। अब मैं जहां हूं वहां खुश हूं।
दौरे वाबस्तगी गुजार के मैं अहदे वाबस्तगी को भूल गया, जॉन का शेर है। खैर चलिए, आपको अब वहीं आ जाते हैं। आपने उसके बाद छोड़ा और अचानक मुंबई जाने का फैसला किया। ये इस फैसले के पीछे कोई ठोस कारण था? क्योंकि मुंबई जाने के बाद हम लोग बहुत समय तक इंतजार करते रहे कि भाई अविनाश मुंबई गए हैं तो कुछ ना कुछ तो ऐसा जरूर उनके पास काम होगा जिसकी वजह से वो सब छोड़ के चले गए हैं। ये मुंबई जाने का निर्णय, क्योंकि तब तक ऐसा लगता नहीं था, आप जरूर शुरू में कह रहे थे कि सिनेमा मेरा बड़ा आकर्षण था, लेकिन ना आपके लिखे में कहीं लगता था, ना कहीं से आप कोई ऐसी कहानियां सुनाते थे। फिक्शन राइटर होना चाहिए, वो सिनेमा में जाने का सपना देखता है। अचानक आप मुंबई में गए और फिर वहीं के होके रह गए। वो यात्रा जरा थोड़ा लोगों से साझा कीजिए। बहुत बार कर चुके होंगे, लेकिन यहाँ के लिए तो एक नई बात।
सोच रहा था कि मैं क्या कहूं जो नया हो। एक तो बहुत आसान सा है कि भाई हिंदुस्तान में रहने वाले हर आदमी का सपना होता है, मतलब दिलचस्पी का दो बहुत कमाल का विषय है, क्रिकेट, दूसरा सिनेमा। सिनेमा मेरा था, लेकिन क्या है कि कोई रास्ता नहीं मिल रहा था कि सिनेमा में क्या है, कैसे है। कितना वक्त है हमारे पास, बता दीजिए। हो गया है ना? देखो क्या है कि जब हमारी बातचीत शुरू हुई तो 3 लोग थे, और अभी देख लो, फिर आप चाहते हो कि हॉल खाली हो जाए, है ना? खोल लो थोड़े से यार, तो हाँ। तो बेसिकली मैं चाह रहा था बहुत दिनों से। मैं 2005 में भी एक बार मैंने चक्कर लगाए थे मुंबई के, लेकिन वहां जो हमारे कुछ दोस्त थे उनको लगता था कि मुझे पत्रकारिता में ही कंटिन्यू करना चाहिए, तो उन्होंने कभी मुझे महेश भट्ट के पास इंटरव्यू के लिए भेज दिया, कभी मीरा, एक पाकिस्तानी एक्ट्रेस आई थी, उसको इंटरव्यू के लिए भेज दिया। उसी समय एक फिल्म आई थी परिणीता, और विद्या बालन का इंटरव्यू मैंने लिया था। तो मुझे बड़ी कमाल की दुनिया वो लगती थी कि भाई मैं जा रहा हूँ चेंबूर में। मुझे याद है जब मैं विद्या बालन के घर इंटरव्यू लेने के लिए जा रहा था, तो मैंने रास्ते में जो सड़क पे जूता पॉलिश करने वाला होता है ना, उससे मैंने अपने जूते पॉलिश करवाए थे। फिर मैं घर में गया उसके, फिर चूंकि वो स्टारडम भी नहीं आया था उसमें कि एक फिल्म आने वाली थी परिणीता, और वो नहा के निकली है बहुत घर के कपड़ों में, और फिर हम बात कर रहे हैं, फिर बात करने के बाद साथ में खाना खा रहे हैं। तो मेरे को ये चीजें बहुत आकर्षित करती थी कि हम विद्या बालन के साथ खाना खा रहे हैं। फिर मनोज वाजपेयी हमारे दोस्त थे, जैसे आपके इम्तियाज अली दोस्त हैं। तो बहुत सारे लोगों का जीवन मुझे लगता था कि यार हम इतनी मेहनत करते हैं, ये करते हैं, लेकिन हम इनके जैसा नहीं जी पा रहे हैं। तो एक तो बहुत पॉपुलिस्ट किस्म का जो है एक मामला ये था। दूसरा जो बड़ा कारण बना सिनेमा में मेरे आने का, कि आपको याद है कि 2011, आपको भी सर याद होगा, हम सिनेमा बहस तलब करके एक पूरी सीरीज की थी दिल्ली में, जिसमें मैंने बहुत सारे डायरेक्टर्स को बुलाए थे। अनुराग कश्यप से लेकर के, सुधीर मिश्रा से लेकर के, आनंद राय, अनुभव सिन्हा, मतलब आज के दौर के जितने बड़े फिल्म मेकर हैं उन सबको मैं दिल्ली में बुलाता था, और उन कोई फिल्म नहीं दिखाता था। हमने कहा फिल्म सब दिखाते हैं, हम सिनेमा पे हिंदी में बातचीत करेंगे। और जब उन्होंने हिंदी में बात करनी शुरू की तो मुझे लगा कि अरे ये तो मेरे जैसा बोल रहा है, ये तो मेरे जैसा दाल भात हाथ लगा के खा रहा है, मतलब ये कोई अलग इंसान नहीं है, अलग अंतरिक्ष से आया हुआ। अगर ये सिनेमा बना सकता है तो हम भी बना सकते हैं। तीसरा कारण ये, जब मैं सत्यमेव जयते था मेरा लास्ट डेस्टिनेशन मीडिया में, तो मुझे लगा कि यार अगर आमिर खान मीडिया कर सकता है तो मैं सिनेमा क्यों नहीं कर सकता हूं। फिर मैंने कोशिश की और संयोग से क्रैक हो गया मुझसे सिनेमा, और इस वजह से मैं सिनेमा में चल पड़ा।
नहीं, लेकिन आप तो लेखक के रूप में गए होंगे, तो निर्देशक बन गए, ये बड़ा चौंकाने वाली बात है। मैं एक किस्सा सुनाता हूँ इस पे कि इम्तियाज अली जब गए थे फिल्म बनाने, तो टीवी में बहुत दिनों तक उन्होंने काम किया, टेलीविजन के लिए सीरियल्स और टॉक शो, बेसिकली पुरुष क्षेत्र जैसे टॉक शो बनाए। अचानक मैंने देखा कि वो सोचा न था जैसी फिल्म डायरेक्ट कर दी। तो और बहुत साल लगे उस फिल्म को, 6 साल लगे। तो मैंने उससे पूछा कि तुमको तो निर्देशन की, तुमने डायरेक्शन की ना कोई ट्रेनिंग ली थी, ना तुम किसी के फिल्म में असिस्टेंट हुए थे, तो तुम इतने बड़े, तुमने एक फिल्म डायरेक्ट करने का सोचा कैसे? तो उसने कहा कि देखिए, इसमें सर कोई ऐसी बात नहीं होती है, आपके अंदर कॉन्फिडेंस होना चाहिए, और जब आप सेट पर जाओ और आप रोल इन कहो, सब शांत हो जाए, यही कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए होता है। और इसी से मैं जब गया था, मुझे कुछ नहीं पता था कि कैमरा का एंगल कहाँ से लगना चाहिए, कहाँ से क्या करना चाहिए, लेकिन मैं रोल इन करना सीख गया था। तो आप निर्देशन की तरफ कैसे बढ़े? आप तो एक लेखक बनने गए थे।
मैं आपको बता दूं कि मेरे से ज्यादा बड़ा मतलब सेल्फ क्रिटिक आपको मिलेगा नहीं। मुझे अपना कुछ भी लिखा हुआ अच्छा नहीं लगता। मुझे अपनी बनाई हुई कोई चीज, मुझे लगता है कि मुझे अनारकली और पारा फिर से 2 बनाने के लिए तो मैं और अच्छा बना के दूंगा, क्योंकि वो अच्छा नहीं था। हालांकि लोग तारीफ करते हैं, मान लीजिए वेब सीरीज शी है नेटफ्लिक्स पे, मुझे लगता है कि यार हाँ, इम्तियाज ने लिखा है और हमने आरिफ ने उसको डायरेक्ट किया है, तो मुझे लगता है कि यार और अच्छा बन सकता था, बना नहीं। तो मुझे लगता है कि मैं राइटर नहीं हूं, क्योंकि जब मैं देखता हूं तो मुझे लगता है कि मेरे से बड़े राइटर हैं और मैं तोड़ नहीं सकता, वो उनकी बनाई हुई जो चीज है उससे आगे बढ़ नहीं सकता। तो हमारे जैसे लोग जो हैं अपने भीतर बहुत सारी क्रिएटिविटी का जोड़ तोड़ करके कुछ करने की कोशिश करते हैं, हर तरफ हाथ पांव मारने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो मैं राइटर बनने नहीं गया था, क्योंकि मुझे पता था कि यहां मुझसे बेहतर राइटर हैं, और राइटर बनूंगा तो मुझे तोड़ मड़ोड़ दिया जाएगा। मुझे वो बनना है जो सबसे ऊपर हो, और वहां मुझे कोई हिला नहीं सकता, मैं कैसा भी काम करूं, अच्छा बुरा। हाँ, तो फिर इसलिए मैं डायरेक्टर बन गया। राइटर को अलग से जिंदा में रखे वो अलग बात है, पर डायरेक्टर ही बने रहना चाहूंगा ना।
अच्छा, आपने एक उपन्यास भी लिखा था अविनाश जी, जो एक पत्रिका में छपा था, कभी आप उसके बारे में ना कोई बात करते हैं, जबकि मुझे अच्छे से पता है कि एक बड़ा प्रकाशक उसको प्रकाशित भी करना चाहता था, वहां से भी आप भागे।
नहीं, उसकी बड़ी दिलचस्प कहानी है। आप लोगों से पता नहीं जानते ही होंगे, ऑफ कोर्स, राजेंद्र यादव हिंदी के बड़े संपादक लेखक थे, हंस पत्रिका निकालते रहे हैं, अब इस दुनिया में नहीं है। तो वो नए लोगों से बहुत सारी मोहब्बत करते, कोई भी उनके घर ऑफिस में जाकर के बैठ सकता था, उनकी आलोचना कर सकता था और मुस्कुराते हुए सुनते रह सकते थे। तो हम दिल्ली में थे और हम गए, हमको लगता है कि 2002 या 1 की बात है, हम गए तो उन्होंने कहा कि भाई तुम्हारी उम्र क्या है? तो 2002 में मेरी उम्र हो रही थी 26-27 साल। 76 की मेरी पैदाइश है, जोड़ लीजिए, अगर मेरा गणित कमजोर हो तो सही कर दीजिएगा। तो उन्होंने कहा कि यार एक निकला है 35 साल से कम उम्र के लोगों के बारे में, तो खैर उस पर बाद में बात करेंगे, लेकिन ये बताओ कि तुम उपन्यास लिख सकते हो? तो मैंने कहा कि मैं उपन्यास क्या, मैं तो महाकाव्य लिख सकता हूँ सर। हाँ, तो उन्होंने कहा कि तुम एक उपन्यास लिख करके दो। तो मैंने कहा कि सर देखिए, मैंने सोचा है कि मैं जब भी लिखूंगा मैं कालजयी लिखूंगा, और मुझे नहीं लगता है कि इस वक्त मैं कालजयी लिखने की स्थिति में हूं, है ना। तो उन्होंने कहा कि देखो एक चीज मैं बता रहा हूं, बहुत कूड़ा कचरा लिखते हुए ही एक दिन कालजयी लिखोगे। तो मुझे लगा ये कूड़ा कचरा तो मैं लिख सकता हूं यार, है ना, कालजयी बाद में देखा जाएगा। फिर मैंने कहा कि मैं लिखूंगा सर। तो यादव जी ने कहा कि ठीक है, परसों आओ तो उपन्यास लेके आना।
परसों? हाँ।
मैंने कहा कि यार ये देखो, ये तो मतलब या मजाक कर रहे हैं। हमने कहा कि देखिए आप मजाक कर रहे हैं मेरे साथ, परसों कैसे? परसों में कविता लिख के, ज्यादा ज्यादा छोटी एक कहानी में लिख के दे सकता हूँ। तो उन्होंने कहा कैसे लिखते हो तुम? मैंने कहा कि मैं टाइप करता हूँ। तो टाइप करते हो? तो फिर उन्होंने बहुत सारे उदाहरण दिए कि राजकमल चौधरी ने 3 दिनों में ताश के पत्तों का शहर लिखा था, किन किन लेखकों ने जब पैसे की जरूरत होती थी तो 2 दिनों में उपन्यास लिख करके प्रकाशक को देते थे, उन उपन्यासों को आज जानते हो, है ना। तो उन्होंने चैलेंज दे दिया एक तरह से। तो मैं एक बहुत सीरियस काम कर रहा था, पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री चंद्रशेखर की जितना कलेक्टिव वर्क्स है उसको हम और हमारी नई नवेली वाइफ मिलके उसको संपादित कर रहे थे, और एक पूरी टीम के साथ हम हेड कर रहे थे उस टीम को। तो हम आए और हमने वाइफ से कहा कि तुम लोग ये काम करो और 3 दिन में जरा कुछ और करता हूं। तो जाहिर सी बात है, जब आपके पास कोई नया प्लॉट नहीं होता है तो ऑटोबायोग्राफिकल हो जाते हो आप, लंबी कहानी लिखने के चक्कर में। तो मैंने लिखना शुरू किया और बहुत मजा आने लगा, और 3 दिन में मैंने 60 पन्ने लिख लिए। और सुनो, उसके बाद मुझे लगा कि उधर से भी प्रेशर आए, है ना, कि काम नहीं हो रहा है, ये नहीं हो रहा है, वो नहीं हो रहा है, मतलब जो हमारी टीम थी सारा काम रुका पड़ा है। तो मैंने यादव जी को फोन किया, यादव जी लिखने में मजा आ रहा है, 1-2 दिन में हो सकता है कि मैं नोवेल पूरा कर लूं, लेकिन बहुत प्रेशर है मेरे ऊपर काम का, तो यार मैं कभी जब फुर्सत मिलेगी तब इसको पूरा करूंगा, अभी जिस काम के लिए मैं हूं वो कर लूं। तो यादव जी ने कहा कि इसी वक्त फोन पर बात करते हुए अगर तुम मर जाओ तो क्या वो जो काम है वो रुक जाएगा? हाँ। तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं, मैं मेरे मर जाने के बाद काम का तो डेडलाइन है, वो तो पूरा करेंगे ही। तो उन्होंने कहा कि सोचो कि तुम मर गए हो और स्वर्ग में बैठ करके उपन्यास लिख रहे हो। तो मैंने कहा ये आइडिया बढ़िया है। तो मैंने अपनी बीवी से कहा कि मैं मर गया हूँ। उसने कहा 2 थप्पड़ दिए मुझे कि ये क्या बात कर रहे हो। उसने कहा मतलब सपोज दैट कि मैं ये मर गया हूं तो तुम ये सब काम किसी तरह मैनेज करो, 2 दिन और दे दो। और अगले 2 दिन में मैंने नॉवेल खत्म किया और मैंने यादव जी को दिया, और यादव जी ने पढ़ भी लिया। फिर उन्होंने कहा कि इस चैप्टर में थोड़ा सा विस्तार दे दो। तो मैंने कहा कि अब आपने ऐसा नुस्खा दे दिया है कि विस्तार देने की वजह से नया नॉवेल लिख लूंगा, जो है वो हो गया है, अब उसमें ज्यादा नहीं हो सकता मेरे से। तो बहरहाल वो राजकमल से छपना था। फिर मैं भी बहुत फॉलो अप में कमजोर आदमी हूं, मैंने किया नहीं। बाद में वो संवेद ने छापा
पूरा उपन्यास वहां पर।
हाँ, पूरा उपन्यास वहां प्रकाशित हुआ, लेकिन चूंकि मैं प्रचार नहीं करता हूं अपनी चीजों का, तो अप्रचारित ही रह गया सब।
मैंने पढ़ा था और मैंने कई बार आपसे कोशिश की थी कि आप उसको प्रकाशित करवाएं। चलिए, समय हमारे पास बहुत कम है। अंत में बस एक बात आपसे जानना चाहता हूं कि 20वीं शताब्दी में रचनात्मकता के जितने भी क्षेत्र थे, हर क्षेत्र में आपने कुछ न कुछ करने की कोशिश की। ऐसा कौन सा क्षेत्र है जिसमें कुछ करने की इच्छा है या न कर पाने का मलाल रह गया?
पेंटिंग सर। हाँ, म्यूजिक। हालांकि आजकल मैं एआई को कमांड देता हूं कि मुझे इस तरह की एक पेंटिंग बना करके दो, और वो मुझे दे देता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि मैं आपकी बुक का अगला कवर खुद ही बनाऊंगा, उसमें पेंटर में अपना नाम डलवाऊंगा, है ना, जबकि मैं पेंटिंग का पौ भी नहीं जानता हूँ। थैंक यू, शुक्रिया।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद अविनाश जी, और बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सो मच सर, इतनी सारी प्यारी प्यारी बातें हमारे साथ शेयर करने के लिए। बट टाइम नहीं हो रहा, अब क्या कर सकते हैं हम लोग। तो अभी अगले सेशन की तरफ हम लोग बढ़ते हैं। फिलहाल सर के लिए एक जोरदार तालियां हो जाए। Thank you so much, audience, for having your patience. And finally, we are going to have our last session for the day 2. And that is, can anyone guess what it is? The Voice of Bharat. So please wait for 2 minutes, and we are going to have our speakers over here. I would like to welcome Ashwini Kumar, Anshuman Kar, Rohin sir, and Yatish Kumar. Please give a big round of applause for them. Sir, please.
जो बचेगा वो रचेगा, जो बचेगा सरकार बदबके, मगर अभी बाकी।
Sir, please come on the dais. They are waiting for you. No, sir,
यतीश
आप join.
रोबी, नो। AC.
For sure, sir. I'll ask them to do that.
Yeah, sir. No. Yes.
I request everyone to put their phones in silent mode. And I know you all are waiting for Mystic Night at like after 30 minutes downstairs in Chanakya Hall. So please have patience for that. Yes.
We are waiting for Yatish. Acha, join us. Thank you very much for being with us at this point of time. It's been a concluding day of Kalinga Poetry Festival. And I'm really privileged today privileged and feeling honored too, that we have Robin, our Nagamgom, our most eminent, one of the most eminent poets. And I call him poet philosopher, And Robin sir has been teaching at Northeast Hill University, Shillong, and he has just superannuated. And but that's not that's incidental to Robin's work and poetry over last 40 years. So perhaps if you have some engagement with his poetry, I'm sure that you will relish the lyric. He's known as a lyric poet. If I'm Robin can correct me what it means to be lyric poet. And it's not just about Northeast. It's something that I always believe that his poet. Northeast is again just incidental. Am I right? It's just incidental. I'm getting bored of when people introducing Robin from Northeast. It's just incidental. And then Professor Ansuman Kar, poet, bilingual, writing one of the most prominent and also eminent poets. And then Yatish will come and join Hindi poetry. It won't come. So here we are, and I would request Robin to start his reading from his new work, new and selected works.
Thank you, Ashwini. Good evening, friends. My poem is entitled, Winter Chronicle. If you were to put a new heart in me with your meager lips, on the cold face of these walls, a blue day will break on the brooding hills. A dead wind will rise with spring, and a banished sun will be recalled from exile. If you would give me a new heart at the cruel end of my day. There are unfinished things, burning in desire without love. These are eyes which gazed into hell's mouth and returned blinded. On every corner of earth, man sets up his governments and inadequate laws, his boundaries between hearts and territories, his cunning shops with which he hopes to dominate. So here begins the city of the fortune hunters. When man devised means to leave himself alone, he exists like a beast, eating, defecating, his loneliness added in cold figures in narrow, dingy rooms. And converted into a learned beast, he merely roams in a civilized jungle. What happens to immaculate voices embalmed in pages of clammy rooms? What happens to learning and purist in streets and on pavements? My love, I have only inherited his foolish legacy, even before we existed. Now, I tell you the other truth of the same river which gives us voices and wets our eyes. I disclose the nakedness of our skin from leaves and feathers. I bear the latent music in our souls from birds and the sea. I'm talking of the love we borrowed from animals, but not the sorrow we weave from our human bonds. When I tire of man's feats, his proud trophies, his patent discoveries and inventions, I return to the blunt end of desire. And like any solitary man who always searches when nothing comes his way, I live in dread of strange timepieces, vanquished by the day and quarantined by night. My love, an unknown presence, lurks everywhere, and neither prayer nor logic can drive the names away. So we return as rice and wine to earth. But think of me as your day and your night, not the day which begins with the clock's axiom, with traders and soldiers united by a collective desire, and merchandise carefully pressed and laid out like clothes, with guns cleaned and oiled and assured of smooth functioning, and butchers washing dried blood from their blocks into small rivers, with grocers renovating early vegetables. Restive as ants, everywhere man wants to plant his flag for his phallic colossi, sprouting arrogantly from the bowels of earth, stony without passion. He even maims his own memorials. Having emerged from his prehistoric cave, he surpassed his feral brethren and perfected savagery by splitting the atom, by raining obscene death from the skies, death which clings to the flesh of children in faceless hamlets. Bound to brutal history which refines lying, man defers his lessons, and one hand never washes the other. So we continue with the hours beginning with torture and ending with rape. And after the dissolution of regimes, he meticulously exhumes his crimes with mass graves, punishing the killers he has nourished and rewarding the already senile heroes. But he turns his eyes away from starving children and wants to speak to intelligent beings by bridging interstellar gorges. So how far has man walked away from his cave when during his waking hours he is trapped inside his buildings in his own cages with mice, playing God with viruses and particles, inhaling the fetid breath of machines? And even his young are not spared when they are made to perform like circus animals before sadistic adults. But civilization throws ashes in his eyes, covering him in foppery, persuading him to cultivate the opera in evenings and sip vintage, to hang masterpieces on walls and dissect learned books, gentling his tongue until death sends his emissary, soliciting man's presence, and the animals draw near, bearing guns and grenades, and they would not even reveal which century we are living in. My love, night flings its dark shroud across the hills, but we have already paid the price to the boatman. We know death, but our lives are dear, although the grim raven priests of time are wheeling above us. And in the mountains with the great rains, your name grew out of earth, burning again in the heart of time. So I shall survive the storm of leaves and words. I shall salvage the wreck of sunken youth by yielding to retrieve broken things, if the rain also stitches the fissures of earth. And I seek growth and moisture, not the dark weight of a stone, unwilling to grow old with a censorious tongue, seedless, resigned to death, petrifying by degrees. My love, even the darkness is broken by howls and dripping water. The clock again awaits dawn, but when I uncovered the word in my hand, it only spelt loneliness. My love, night conspires with the wind, whispering black secrets once more. If only you would give me your hand, a day dressed in blue will dance on these cold walls, consuming my winter to winter sadness. Thank you.
Beautiful. How beautiful, isn't it? I would like you to read one more poem, Hannah, in the first round. Yeah. Yeah. I would. Yeah, you can. So when Anshuman reads, then you can find out, you know.
You read first, and I'll try to find it.
Yeah. So Kar Sahib, you know, and you can see the visceral Kar Sahib also adding his lyric tone and a tone of a lover's tongue. Since yesterday we have, again, you know, you can see how Robin's poem, the tongue appears, you know, in the sense of language. Kar Sahib. Anshuman Kar.
Thank you, Ashini, and good afternoon to all of you. I'll be reading in the first round only one poem because they are eagerly waiting for Usha Thup, right? So I'll restrict myself to one and might be in the second round one more. And this is a poem which is titled Mother. The history of this world is the history of the sorrows of mothers. The pages of history are damp with the blood and tears of mothers. I think of that Negro mother who, after getting raped in night, used to clothe her daughter in a torn frock in the morning. I think of that Jewish mother whose lap was emptied by a German devil. I think of that American mother whose son came back home from Vietnam War leaning on crutches. I think of the mother of Rohit Bhemula too. And it seems that all the sad mothers of the world look alike. Only one looks slightly different. Her hair is gray. When she smiles, one finds 3 teeth missing. Her face is full of wrinkles. Even on the day on which her son is terribly insulted, even in the midst of her own unbearable sorrow, those wrinkles radiate such a flash, such a proud smile of the crops that one understands that she is the mother of a poet.
Beautiful. Robin.
No, you please carry on. I'll try to find out this.
You want me to read a poem?
Then you, Ashini, you please read one of your poems. Because you have not read any poem in this festival yet. You have been talking only endlessly. So now it's time for you to read one poem.
Yeah, yes. But of late when I go to any festival, I just read one poem.
Okay.
Yeah, because when I went to Northeast, Itanagar, Mama told me, Ashwini, Auntie Maria. So I'm
Auntie
not going
to... that is a very popular poem of yours. Yeah. What about that fasting poem?
Have you heard my Auntie Maria poem? No. Or the rain poem?
No. Then you can read Auntie Maria.
Yeah,
because,
so Yeah, so Auntie Maria poem or rain poem? Kar Sahib.
Auntie Maria, they will be enjoying.
Yeah, that's very favorite of one of very leading and prominent poets, Mamang Dai. Yeah, so I'm gonna read just one poem, and it is a poem which comes with it's a yeah. Yeah, so this poem is actually given us little, it is actually influenced by, tantric architecture, sense. And if you go to Kathmandu, the Bharatpur, the old city, yeah, so it's influenced by that city. It's an architectural poem and also a language poem. So you can see different languages and different tongues playing. Auntie Maria. The poem is about Granny Maria. Granny Maria's village home was an old poem. It resembled a floating ship, a cloudy rock, or a mirror of red ribbons in the prep school. It was 5 stories tall without any walls. Its roofs were infinite surrogate seasons embroidered with songs on banana leaves. Floors, upstairs and downstairs were carnival tricks. There were 55 windows, gossiping, giggling, brokering peace among unfaithful lovers. At the doorway, aging gypsies on wooden lanterns guarded all our possessions marked with ascetic asterisks. Granny Maria's parents, Mr. Nandi and Mrs. Nandi, were distant cousins of Japatista. They erred, slurred while selling lamps in the refugee camps. Occasionally they came to the village, burned effigies of indigo planters, and taught neighbors to cook octopus in creamy sauce. People say, I don't say, people say everyone in the village loved pinto beans and red paprika. But Granny Maria grew up on pancakes, apple pies, and crunchy crackers. After a shot of white rum punch, Granny sang, "Picanto per il santo, picanto per il santo." We don't remember what those words meant, but we know that she and her heat-proof pleated cotton skirt and blouse often slept in the clay fireplace. After the Civil War, when there was no grain in the house, nor black salt, with an ivory hoop in her left toe, she climbed to the sky on the pretext of worshipping a snake-armed god. She unstitched the lining of the heavens with her squeaking scissors, plucked sea almonds, roasted them in the heat of lightning, and fed the daughters of unwed sparrows. All we know now. All we know now. Everyone in my village lived happily ever after. You would never see her again. You would never see her again. But visit Granny Maria's house in my village. It is still an old poem. It is still an old poem. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
We'll have to read one more.
Akar Sahib is now, yeah. It's a beautiful, yes, I can read. Sajadi Sahib has translated. So poem आप सुने. हाँ भाई रुक जाओ भाई, अभी रुक जाओ, अभी हिंदी में सुना रहा हूँ. या ओके, आ जाओ यार, मैं पकड़ के सुनाता हूँ. रॉबिन साहब की नज्म है, एंड आप उसे हिंदी में देखें और बांग्ला और उड़िया में भी हम. ये टाइटल है पतझड़. अक्टूबर के इस वन प्रांतर में युद्ध का अब तक एक छींटा तक नहीं. अक्टूबर के इस वन प्रांतर में युद्ध का अब तक एक छींटा तक नहीं. उधेड़ दी गई जमीन पर अब संवारे गए बागीचे हैं. मुझे याद आता है तुम्हारे हाथों का विस्तार, मुझे याद आता है तुम्हारे हाथों का विस्तार, तुम्हारी आंखों के भूरे पत्ते, तुम्हारी आंखों के भूरे पत्ते घायल पृथ्वी को ढके हुए। कहीं और बजता है, कहीं और बजता है इतिहास का नगाड़ा, कहीं और बजता है इतिहास का नगाड़ा, जिसकी आवाज पर नायक गण, सॉरी, इट्स जस्ट गोइंग एंड कमिंग। कहीं और बजता, इट्स जस्ट ओपन अ लिटिल बिट, वेट अ सेकंड, हाँ, कहीं और बजता है इतिहास का नगाड़ा, जिसकी आवाज पर नायक गण आगे बढ़े चले जा रहे हैं, दीवाने प्रेमियों को उनके हाल पर छोड़कर। थैंक यू। Robin, would you come back to, in the second round and read one of your poems, and then I'm done. I mean, like, you want to listen a poem? No, we will never get the opportunity, or maybe you can get the opportunity, because it's a rare visit by Robin sir here. And we are privileged, having Robin sir amongst us. And his poems are, visceral lyric poems. You can see the craft, and those who are students of literature and poetry perhaps pay more attention to the craft part also. Robin sir. He's known for his silence, and I don't know if Arundhati Subramaniam wrote somewhere or somebody else wrote about Robin that he's a decadal poet. Every 10 years, something will emerge from, his craft, and that will really surprise us, the unpredictable twist and the language that he, invents and weaves. That's Robin's,
Some kind of a love poem.
Yeah, some kind of a love poem.
It's titled The Spring's Torment. Tonight on, we will speak without speaking. The unearthed etymology of jealousy is now shut. Diminished like the world, we feel what orphans, lowlifes, trees, dogs feel. Why do we return to a room where nights beat the day sadly? Why did derelict clocks stop at midnight and photographs begin wearing dusty jackets? Neither ghost nor living, something under the cover of the hills this night goes to your street in quest of lips. I should have sucked you in me. I am lost without your fingers. My terrestrial hours inhaled without a thought for the world. But looking under sheets of twilight for the left anklet you lost, for me to search each time and claim its owner. I long to hear you moan again in your native tongue, scribbled across my night's skin. With birds whooping spring across treetops, green days taken away from us will be divided among blue lovers. Your smile conceives another dawn when stars tousled your downcast hair. I recovered from your lips what I knew to be constant as midnight water in the thirsty glass. When I put my mouth on yours, I turn blind and deaf. The earth must wait. Even as we speak, we become wet with early dew. The world returned with all its intrigues, its streets and smoke as our lips separate, with schools of hatred and renewed hunger for bread. If only you would walk like spring before my window's heart, before the blinding rain which drowned your ankles and keep us divided between bent latitudes. The sky is a slow throbbing lead today, a juvenile fluttering of watery wings begin on my foreboding pains. The chandeliers of pine sway drunk, casting away their yellow radiance. Fires with sprout green being doused. Only the faint cinder of hours remains. And the day's torrent takes you away in a submerged bus with broken windows, running carefully with my memories. Yeah. Thank you.
It seems like very attentive. I'm so delighted to see the way you put attention to Robin's poem. So seems like we can go for, a round and then conclude. Please, cut one poem. Yeah, then, yeah, very short. Yeah, very happy to see the way you are so engrossed. And I can see the silence in your eyes too. That's the effect of, I call it Robin effect.
Yeah, Robin effect.
Yeah, remember my words. If I'm gone tomorrow, just use this phrase in your English classes, Robin effect.
It's a poem. I have written quite a few on memory since probably the last word of Robin's poem was also memory or something like that. Yes. So there is a connect between what he has read and what I'm going to read, but it has nothing to do with love. It's not a love poem at all. And let me also tell you that I don't know, meaning when we were children, it was very difficult for us to remember the names of the Mughal emperors, right? So we had a rhyme, a Bengali rhyme for, remembering them. It's something like this in Bangla, Babar, Holo, Abar, Jor, Sharilo, Oushode, which means Babar, Akbar, Babar, Holo, Babar, Akbar. The first letter, Abar, Akbar, Jor, Jahangir, Sharilo, Sajahan, Oushode, Aurangzeb. So this is how we used to remember. And in this poem, there is a reference to that Bengali rhyme, right? It's about memory. One more poem about memory. It is extremely difficult to remember things, a real tough task. The moment we are reminded of with how much difficulty we had to remember a formula of mathematics, we feel unease, we sweat, we wake up from sleep at midnight. To remember the birthdays of our near ones earlier, we used to mark the dates in the calendar in red. Now, we depend on mobile reminders. No one can count how many times a knot at the end of a sari has saved the Titanic from a storm. We are all grateful to that man also who made that rhyme for remembering the names of the Mughal emperors. It is extremely difficult to remember things, a tough task indeed. The entire world still tries to remember, except an insulted man. He wants to forget.
Wonderful, lovely. Give him a big clap. So let me just, I'm sure that you have seen our work on Jayantoda, Jayanto Mahapatra, the legend of Odisha and the national poet of not just Odisha, but also India. So the book is titled Scent of Rain. We released this morning. So I'm again a very popular poem. And I guess I'm reading to Robin this poem first time, A Book of Rains. I've never read before you. So this is a poem. And you will love it, because rains in Odisha, rains in the lives of Jayanto Mahapatra, so significant. A book of rains. These days, I long to write a book of rains. These days, I long to write a book of rains. Rains are like mural wounds from which happiness flows, speaking to us in the same tongue, but in various languages of seasons. Humming in myriad sounds of wild geese in clear sky, morning rains are seeds of light pouring over women in parched lands who scramble to collect forgotten love songs in pots and pitchers. Afternoon rains are old poems on a blank page, turning docile, stammering at the knife point of murderers before they crawl back into sun-roofed mud houses for untimely siesta. Evening rains come in dancing figures, star-naked peacocks with sapphire anklet shiver in the fog's startled eye corner, the secret illusion of another sky bursting out on the distant indigo hills. Night rains are like embroidered brows of courtesans with rounded breasts, spurting incessantly into deep-throated cones, slaying fears of Leozen with veiled joys from moonlight till dewlight. Amana on my morning prayer mat sings, I'm raining, I'm writing, I'm raining, I'm writing. Thank you very much. Any questions, anything you want? Robin is here and he would love to interact with you. Or if you want to hear one last poem from Robin, I would request him to conclude this beautiful evening with a last poem. There is a tradition, my Bangla has gone a little weak. Shishur Kavita, I guess, the last one. So, yeah. Or any questions you have in terms of the craft of poetry or the magic of poetry or the secrets of poetry, please introduce yourself.
So my name is Shruti Sri Jena, and my question is, whenever you go through a writer's blockage, what do you do?
On my own, I don't think one can do anything, but I try to keep in touch with say, since I write poetry, with poetry all the time. I read other poems by other poets. Then I listen to songs, and then and also, of course, to try to keep writing, even if you write prose. I mean, those things help. But writers, block, if it comes, one can't do anything about it, actually. Yeah. But it will. Yeah, yeah. But it's a passing phase. So you don't have you should not be conscious about it, too worried about it. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah. So what's writing
to you? Just one thing.
Yes,
let me just add to what he has said, because I asked when I was a young poet, I asked this question to Shankho Ghosh. I don't know whether you are aware of him. He's one of the great poet. He's no more with us, a Bengali poet, a Gyanpith awardee as well. And I asked him this question, that, so what to do? He told me that translate. All right. So that's what also Robin was telling you, that live with the poems of others. And when you and it worked for me, let me tell you honestly, because when you translate, when you just read as a reader, you take care of so many things, and so many times you overlook so many other things as well, because poetry has its own charm. But the moment you engage yourself with a poem as a translator, so many nuances you need to take note of, that a kick somehow comes, and in a flash you get a line, and you begin your own poem. So it works. So might be that it has worked for me. It might be that it will work for you as well.
So I would like Robin to read.
Okay.
Suddenly I think the audience swelling, so more and more people are joining. It's the Robin effect once again.
I'll read a few haiku. Actually.
Haiku. Haiku. Yeah.
Yeah. This is about, Ashwini was talking about rains in this wonderful, very evocative poem, Rains, which reminded me of the ragas, actually, because you're talking about, different times of the day, actually. Yeah. So rain, it rains very heavily in part of the country where I come from.
Yeah.
So this is a poem about rain, the effect of rain. Haiku. Rain drips away. Rain drips away in the heart room. Okay. Photo. or book? Which one to rescue? It's a leaking room, and you have your books and your photos. Which one to rescue? So, okay. Rain drips away in the heart room. Photo or book? Which one to rescue? In the woodpecker's quiet pause, I glimpse an afternoon in the pines. Am I stepping into the same season twice?
My God, beautiful.
November sky. Wise. November is autumn, so mellow. You're supposed to become wiser because death is around the corner. So, November sky. Wise, clear-eyed heart. Cold star fluttering in the pines. In other words, the wise heart is cold. The wise heart is cold. That is what I feel. Anyway, I will conclude.
No, just read the poem. I guess, people are still intently and silently, enjoying.
Okay.
They're not going. You're not going now. I guess want to hear the poem. Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We will continue.
Yeah.
Let it rains, until it rains. And I tell you, like when I read this poem at a Kalari event, at the finale, it rained. But it was not my magic, sky was overcast. And it's raining already somewhere for Jayanto Mahapatra.
Yes. June's yellow-green leaves. Where I come from, even the leaves would fall even in June. So these are the colors. The June's yellow-green leaves deceiving me with autumn, because autumn is fall. That's when actually leaves are supposed to fall. But by June, it's already started falling. So yellow-green leaves. So June's yellow-green leaves deceiving me with autumn. Ashes from Auschwitz. Okay, one last one. It's not exactly a haiku. I'll just wind up.
Just read a poem.
No. I think we. We are. There must be.
Autumn. Read this poem.
No, autumn is just what you just read.
Yeah, you just read.
Yeah.
One of my favorites, because this is my invented land. Like, you see, this poem is a great and classic, I can say, that from his works. My invented land. It's a long time. Just listen, and this context, what's happening around us. This invented land. Enjoy. It's a signature poem.
This has to do with a bit of politics and history and the homeland.
Yeah.
Many of us suffer from the fear of being homeless, and concepts of indigeneity, which is dubious according to me. So all those things are being explored in this poem. My invented land, and I'm talking about. I'm from Manipur originally, so a bit of my childhood in this poem. My invented land. My native soil was created from tiny sparks that clung to grandmother's earthen pot, which conjured savory dishes I have been looking for all my life in vain. My homeland has no boundaries. At cockcrow, one day, it found itself inside a country to its west. On rainy days, it dreams looking east when its seditionists fight to liberate it from truth. My people have disinterred their alphabet, burnt down decrepit libraries in a last puff of nationalism, even as a hairstyle of native women has been allowed to become extinct. My native place has not been christened yet, My homeland, a travelogue without end. A plate that will always be greedy, but got rice mixed with stones. My home has young people who found their dreams in a white substance. I'm talking about drugs here, actually, white substance that is refined, yeah.
Don't do it, never.
Yeah. refined heroin, actually. They call it number 4 in Manipur and in the Northeast. Anyway, so who found their dreams in a white substance, and the old that transplanted their eyes. It has leaders who have disappeared into their caricatures. My home is a gun pressed against both temples. Against both temples. A knock on a night that has not ended. A knock on a night that has not ended. A torch lit long after the theft. A sonnet about body counts. Undoubtedly raped. Definitely abandoned in a tryst with destiny. That's a reference to Nehru's famous midnight speech, Tryst with Destiny. Yeah. Okay, this is the poem here. Thank you.
Now here, I mean, we want to conclude. I'm asking audience. So we want to conclude here. And this is the beautiful evening that we have spent with you. I'm really expressing my gratitude on behalf of Robin and Anshuman Kaur. Thank you very much. You have been beautiful audience and listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for reciting such beautiful poems over here. Can we have a big round of applause for them? Thank you so much, sir. Yes.
That is for. He'll get it. Yeah.
Horizontal.
Landscape.
Thank you.
Please take one more.
One more in this.